everybody!
Happy Halloween!
Very funny, Dan. I got you something. Sounds from the Haunted Mansion.
Boy, moans, screams, and rattling chains.
Oh, I get it. You taped your date last night.
Yeah! How'd you guess?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Horror Huddle. I'm Stacy Beth. We have Ash here as always.
Howdy.
And you guys remember Adam from
What's
previous
up?
videos. And we've got special guest Chris here.
How you doing, folks?
Who you guys probably remember from some of our older video reviews a couple of years ago. We've got him here for the weekend, so it's going to be a good one. We are on week 4 of our Halloween edition, and you guys know from, I think, the last 2 episodes of the Halloween ones, we mentioned what we were going to be discussing tonight. And if you can't tell from the shirt, we're doing Roseanne's Tricks and Treats DVD, which has all 8 Halloween episodes, which are kind of awesome.
Positively Midwestern. Well, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, yes. This will be titled Roseanne Halloween Episodes, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because there are some very ugly ones in there. But before we get into it, we did not wear our Fright Rags Roseanne t-shirts.
We got all made up and decided we didn't want to mess it up by changing shirts.
I don't know how well y'all can see it because the camera's a little far away and I'm blind. But, so we just thought we'd have it hanging up here for you guys to see. So we're just going to get into episode 1 then.
Yeah.
I don't know dates. I didn't put dates down for when they were released, but
Well, it started with season 2, right?
Season 2.
Season 2, yeah. They didn't have one for season 1, and I don't know why. But if any of you guys, which y'all probably do love the Halloween Roseanne episodes, they were probably some of the best, honestly. The beginning ones. The beginning ones, yeah, because we'll get into them later. But episode 1, titled Boo. Boo. Basically, it was just really Roseanne and Dan kind of having a scare-off to see who could be the master at pranking each other. And that kind of became a running theme throughout those Halloween episodes. But I think this one had the best ones.
Well, yeah, and this is also, the most memorable one. That's why on the t-shirt, that's what they're showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's by far out of all the best episode.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this t-shirt yet, and if it's too far away for you to see, it's all of their costumes from the episode, from their first episode, which is fucking awesome. What was it? Oh, Roseanne was the Wicked Witch of the Midwest.
Midwest.
Yes, the Midwest. Darlene was she was shot with a bunch of arrows and some knives, which we actually didn't see that on her, did we?
No, I don't remember.
The head part was her hair was
Yeah.
down, I believe.
Yeah, that has...
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Someone cursed.
Becky was a dismembered flight attendant.
Yeah.
Which was fucking cool.
Yeah, her arm is...
Yes. Some little nub. DJ was a dead ninja?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yes, like a zombie ninja.
A bad ninja.
And Dan was a demented something or other. I don't know. He had an axe in his head. Yeah.
I was thinking it was like a butcher or something, just because it was like a white coat with a bunch of stab wounds. So I was like,
maybe? I don't know.
An axe murdered
But
guy.
it's Jackie. Jackie was the head in the bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in addition to trying to have a scare off with each other, they were setting up their house for a little haunted attraction. Yeah, mini haunted house for the neighbors to come and do a little walk through, and each family member had a job in it, which was it was so cool. Every time I watch that episode, I'm so friggin' jealous because I always wanted to do something fun like that. But of course, we're in a tiny neighborhood, so that wouldn't work out.
It's interesting because it's a small town that the fictional town they're living in the Midwest, and the whole thing is everyone knows each other. Everyone's a neighbor. They have later parts of the season where people go to the lodge. So it's a small community.
Yeah.
Where you would normally see more of the people going all out for the holidays as opposed to go to a larger city.
But that's the funny thing, because at the beginning of that episode is when they talk about how there's just, there was so much more trick-or-treaters and stuff, and people don't do that anymore, which, it's funny that they were talking about it back then, because it's like now, where I live, no trick-or-treaters at all. Yeah. And even you, Stacy.
Yeah, we live in a tiny cul-de-sac of about 5 houses, and only 2 of those homes have kids, and they don't, they can come trick-or-treat, but 3 houses later, they're done.
It's the same thing with me. I live in a town of 300,000 people plus. And
nobody does it anymore. Yeah, everybody's kind of boring now. Everybody's turning their lights off, and nobody wants to do anything. And
But they addressed it in the episode, the very first part, where the kids are losing interest. And as
that
you
was
go to the
1990.
city, 1990, 89, something like that.
I think this one was 89.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, and how I always saw Roseanne in general as a series is taking the whole U.S. and they can do a little microcosm of their house.
Yeah.
Seeing how people react over time, families have reacted over time, people losing interest, and we go on much further in the series about gay rights and a little bit of racism in there and class war. So, it's a perfect setup of how the series is in general.
Yeah. Such a damn good show. But I still, over all the other episodes we watched, I think that this is by far the best Halloween episode they have. Hands down.
Yeah.
It was just about Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
The later episodes, Halloween was the backdrop to something else going on in the story.
Yeah.
And as the series went on, it became even farther and farther. It was a backdrop. It's like to the point where you're like not even realizing this is a Halloween episode.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I almost forgot it was a Halloween episode.
This episode was actually nominated for an Emmy.
It was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's not surprising. It was pretty dang well crafted.
Can we, though, real quick, before we go to the next episode, talk about how awesome the haunted house was, though? Like, just in general, like, every single little thing they had was down from, like, DJ with that dubbed-over voice. Yeah.
In that costume.
To this place.
Yeah, the tunnel of terror. Yeah. And then you had Dan and then Jackie under the table with those, like, fangs and stuff.
Yeah, and then there was the gag, what was it, like a bowl of soup or
that was on
a
the
pot of
stove,
soup.
right?
Yeah,
it was on a fake
how
stove.
How did they do that? Like,
it's TV magic, because normally you don't want to see a regular Midwestern family tearing their stove apart.
Well,
the sticks.
I don't know. You saw them tear apart their washers, so just for Lonnie to get inside of it, yeah. I think the only one that didn't have a really good costume was what's her name, Crystal. Remember Crystal showed up? She was the good witch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's an elaborate costume.
It is. Everybody, for as poor as everyone was, they had a fucking awesome budget for their Halloween costumes. That's probably why they were so poor, because they just saved it all for that moment.
Well, I guess the whole idea is maybe they MacGyvered it from just spare stuff around the house. They're like, let's put this and this together.
Because it still doesn't look bought.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like their costumes don't look bought, even though they're...
That's actually a recurring theme in the series in general, is money always being tight.
Yeah.
And you always saw them, especially the kids, like kind of making their own costumes and stuff, or Roseanne making her own costume. They never were saying, "Oh, take me to the store, I need to buy it," or they all looked it was all DIY.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, man, I'm lazy and I just didn't have the time to do that stuff. Like,
see, that's what happens when you don't have the internet.
True.
You get all creative.
You're just creative and
Talk
shit.
with your family. Terrible stuff.
Talk with family.
Okay, episode 2, Trick or Treat. That was... this one was not as kind of just focused... Well, no, no, not really. This was more of like the gender episode, right? Because... it was 2 plot lines, and one was Dan worried about DJ because DJ wanted to dress up as a witch, and masculinity, and witches are women, and
someone's going to pick on them.
Exactly, and Roseanne and Jackie were like, "What's the problem? It's fine. Who cares?" And Dan was like, "No. Hey, DJ, don't you want to be a warlock or a wizard? And no, he wanted the glittery red shoes. He wanted the broom and everything, and and then." This was the one with Roseanne dressed as a guy. She was dressed as like a lumberjack guy.
It's a mirror of the same thing they did with Dan and DJ.
Fucking hilarious! Like that's probably my favorite Roseanne costume. Because it cracks me up every time I see her when she goes to the Lobo Lounge and
to try to get in the mind of men. Basically,
and they all buy it. They all think she's a guy, so she's standing around the pool table talking to these fucking scummy dudes, and her fake deep voice, and
they're talking about it.
Gummy, just Midwestern blue collar.
And of course they were all talking about having sex with women, which you knew they were probably bullshitting, and Roseanne was calling them on it.
Yeah, well, no, not calling them on it in person. She was going back to the table. They're like gorillas. There's the alpha male. And all the rest of them are agreeing with them.
She references Jane Goodall.
Yeah. And then the funniest one was when she goes into the men's room. She's like, "So this is what the men's room looks like." And another guy comes in. She goes straight to the urinal.
Same guy.
Yeah.
Same guy. Yeah. And she's sitting there, and she starts talking to the guy while they're at the urinal, and the guy's just not saying anything back. She's like, "Oh, like an elevator."
Yeah, it's like an elevator.
It's like an elevator.
And then she almost gets into a fight with the one drunken guy.
Yeah.
She's like, "No, I'm a woman." He goes, "Oh, you're gonna be one after I get done with you."
Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, my favorite part is just the fact that she goes up not thinking that she's dressed as a guy, Roseanne goes up and starts talking to Crystal, and Crystal doesn't recognize her, so Crystal thinks some dude is hitting on her, which is just fantastic.
What's your name?
She jumps into right away.
Yes.
But it's weird that they did the storylines like they did, because I kind of thought at the beginning of the episode that it would be the DJ Dan storyline that was kind of the more important one, because it's like gender identity. But at the end of that one, it was basically like, well, I was thinking, okay, they're going to have that heart-to-heart moment where it's like, it's okay to be anything you want, blah, blah, blah. No, it was a matter of like, you want to go home? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
and
that was kind of it.
That's it.
But if you pull out far enough, I mean, it's the same story.
Yeah.
And if you pull out even farther, look at America at the time, early 90s.
True.
PC starts coming into the public screen a lot.
Yeah.
So then gender roles really start taking focus at that time. So it's kind of topical at the point. It's not South Park degree topical by week, but like I said, the microcosm of America, it's their family is our extended family going through the same, trying to figure out, well, are men and women different? Are men really Neanderthalic? Are women really better? Are men better? It's kind of trying to find a balance of identity that we were doing the same. We were all doing at the same time.
Yeah,
at that time of the world.
Yeah.
Is this the one where Arnie is?
No. This is a later on one.
I couldn't remember.
Their costumes were Darlene was just, she had a pullover hoodie on and like this little goblin hand that came out.
Little alien reference.
Yeah. Becky was a mutilated prom queen, and I loved it because she had the eyeball hanging out. Like the whole one side of her was just completely bloody.
I thought her costume was
slow reveal.
The scene when she's on the phone and then she turns around and it's all just blood and gore. And Dan was the Three Stooges, which was really cool.
Triclops, Three Stooge.
Awesome.
And what was Jackie? I can't remember what Jackie was.
She wasn't anything, remember?
They're at the bar.
Because she had just broke up with Gary, so she didn't want to dress up. So she was all bummed out and stuff. This one, I think, for me, was probably really the end of the good. It sucks because it was, you only had one and two. I wouldn't consider
it the end. The next episode was still okay. But yeah, it definitely was the end of that high bar. It did go
well, the first one did set a very high bar.
Sure.
It was a great episode.
Yeah.
The series had just had a second season.
Yeah.
To really get the creativity behind the writers and producers and the directors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really starting to flesh the characters out a lot more at this point in time. It was a great episode.
So, going into episode 3, Trick Me Up, Trick Me Down. That one's little plot. Sorry, guys, we have a bowl of dry ice, and it's making the most fartiest sounds ever right now, so it's throwing us off a little bit. I don't know if y'all can hear it.
It's slowly getting louder. That's the problem.
Yeah. So the third episode is Roseanne and Dan prank their prudish neighbor Kathy, who, of course, season 3 you met her, and she fucking hates Roseanne because Roseanne is the complete opposite of her. Kathy is really like proper and
very
etiquette.
Traditional Midwest.
Yes, and Roseanne is Roseanne, and so they don't like each other, and so they prank her, and so the rest of the episode is Roseanne constantly worried that Kathy is going to get revenge on her somehow, which she never does, right?
Was anyone else concerned that this lady just walked into their house in the middle of the day?
Yeah.
Well, no, because she was knocking and nobody answered. The door was cracked open, so she was like, guys, like, is everybody okay? Yeah.
Like, one high point I thought, right at the beginning of the episode, was DJ. Poor child being dressed as Alfalfa. He's like, I want to be the Terminator.
They made
it established after Terminator 2 came out, right?
Yeah, it was right after Terminator 2 came out.
The summer came out that previous summer.
Yeah.
So he's dressed up as that, and then he leaves, comes back, and it's the Terminator costume with Alfalfa's face. And it was the Alfalfa-nator.
Alfalfa-nator,
that's what Dan called him.
I liked the gore on Dan when they were doing the prank when he was laying on the table and he had just all of his guts hanging out. It was super gross. Yeah, it was fucking great. This was the depressed Darlene era, so Darlene didn't dress up, which sucked because I hated that part of Darlene. Is everybody stopped being fun, and I think that was when Becky was already gone.
She just got married, gone.
Yeah. I think her and Mark got married, and I think that's when she took off because she wasn't there at all, right? If I'm not mistaken. No. So and they mentioned something about Becky not being there. So I guess that was when she was gone. And of course, this episode is what started the lodge parties in every single episode from there on, pretty much.
Almost.
For the next 4 or 5.
Yeah,
was the lodge parties, and I feel like that was their way of like including all the, the side, like the big side characters, and getting them all in costume.
See the town.
Yeah.
Part of the town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did they mention what kind of lodge it was?
No.
So a Union
it's
Lodge or an Elks Lodge or something?
I
This is the lodge.
think, I don't know. It might be an Elks Lodge. I don't know.
Is that
they
a
never.
factory, right? At one point?
They worked at Wellman, yeah.
Yeah.
The factory.
Well, the other side of it too is just that when they did the first Halloween episode, it all happened on the house set.
Yeah.
And it probably took a while to get the house set back to a normal house set from all the Halloween decorations. So if they have it at the lodge, they don't have to decorate the house, which means, for
I don't know.
filming.
I think the
it's
production
easier.
crew at that level would pretty good. I think the showrunners wanted to expand the town a little more.
Yeah.
I just remembered something from episode 2. You were right. That was Arnie. Arnie was
Yeah, that's
yes,
what I thought.
sorry.
It's on episode
Sorry.
2, Arnie was the ghost of Elvis.
Yes, so I'm sorry. I thought it was at a lodge party, and I remember
And,
it was the haunted
isn't
house.
it this episode they bring him back as the ghost?
This is with George Clooney. This was the last episode George
that's
Clooney was
right.
Oh
in.
my god.
Because his character was
I
Booker.
forgot he was in the series.
Yeah, I did too.
He was the one he was the boss at Wellman for a little bit and
Yeah.
was dating Jackie.
Jackie for a
and
bit.
Jackie, I guess, hadn't seen him in a while, and he was dressed up as a moose. So her little storyline was
And it's
she
like a
kept talking to
goofy,
this
oversized, mascot.
Like Bullwinkle.
So
Like-
yeah, having George Clooney's voice coming out of that just hilarious.
And this was at the lodge party when they had Dan and Roseanne's costume was the ventriloquist
Which I
act.
loved that costume.
I do. I thought it was pretty awesome.
And they
I
had that
loved
little
the song.
gag going back and forth with jokes.
Yes.
And then
that
like a
was-
little musical number
And
or something.
Crystal and Jackie were dressed alike, but one was Morticia Adams and one was Elvira.
And there was that joke that the
Crystal was
other lady
Elvira,
did. Y'all dressed as
Cher.
Yeah.
This friggin' dry ice is going crazy over there. So this was not. This probably was. I feel like then I guess between 2 and 3 felt like the.
Yeah, it was a decline, but it was still a pretty dang good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the call out, the national anthem thing she had at the time.
Yeah.
Because that was right after, it was 1990 at this point, right? Right after she had that big old kind of fiasco that kind of put her in another big kind of spotlight. And that slight little call out when they're about to sing, don't let her sing!
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they've done that a couple
She
times
brings
in the
up
show.
something,
She'll bring
and
up.
she one I forgot what it was. Probably an episode probably right after it happened. She came out of her bedroom and was like, "God, it's a beautiful day. I could sing," or something like that. And the audience knew.
Yeah.
Everybody was cracking up and stuff. And so she always played on shit and kind of made fun of
Although
the
if I
bad
remember
press.
correctly, she did get a lot of heat for that.
Oh yeah,
Didn't Bush
because
call
she
her
wasn't
out
really
at
taking
one
it
point?
seriously.
The president called her out, I think.
I think
right?
so, if I'm not
She
mistaken.
had a lot of heat for a little bit there.
Dude, she got
George
it was
Senior.
major.
Senior, yeah.
Senior, yes.
1990,
Yeah.
Senior.
Okay,
Go
so
for it, Bush.
can we go to episode 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where
Titled
really the decline.
Halloween 4.
Drastically.
Which
That's
kind
what the episode.
of marks the decline.
Yeah.
The quality of the Halloween episodes.
And of course, this is actually my least favorite fucking episode. It's the one when, Roseanne loses her Halloween spirit, so she's visited by, like a Christmas Carol style, the ghost of Halloween past, present, and future. The ghost from Halloween past was just as a ghost. The present one was a giant candy corn, which is a really cool costume.
Yeah.
And
That was a
the
terrible
future was
costume.
supposed to be the Grim Reaper or something like that. And I
Yeah.
loved it because it was goofy as hell.
It's goofy as hell.
And so there was that one scene in the beginning when Darlene was trying to prank her and she was hanging in Roseanne's bathroom. I'm like, this is the depressed Darlene era. I think she was still depressed at this point too. Maybe just getting out of it. But it's I'd be a little worried if I came and saw my kid who was once depressed hanging in the bathroom. That probably was a little dark. You know
Or
what
is
I
it
mean?
knowing your daughter enough and knowing people enough? It's a phase.
And especially on a Halloween day, she's like, "Bitch, I can't trust you." But because she did end up dressing up as Tippi Hedren from The Birds.
With the
Which
Birds.
that was an amazing costume.
That's still one of the
That's
best
one of my
costumes.
favorites in that
Badass
episode.
costume.
One of my favorites.
And I actually like this one. I love Dan and Jackie's costume.
Yeah.
That's the other one I love.
Yeah,
It's
because
just
the ghost of
Antoinette.
Halloween present, took her to the party at the lodge, and everybody was kind of ripping on her because she wasn't there and was talking about how shitty her Halloween cookies were, and she was
pumpkin Halloween
annoying
cookies.
and all this stuff. Yeah, and so she's like, "All right, fuckers, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna go back." And they had the badass Marie Antoinette costume.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
was fucking awesome.
the gag that they put along with that was because it had Dan's head in the neck and then Jackie's head under his arm, and then I guess her boyfriend shows up.
Yeah.
And they start talking about getting into the weird stuff, and he's just sitting there going, and they're like, And then she looks up and is like, "Can you give us some privacy?"
Yeah. And DJ was Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
That was badass. So when she was like, when you put him in the car, she goes, put him on his back. Don't put him on his stomach. Because she's like, Darlene's an asshole. She probably would. And he was full on, like, straight jacket, like, with the fucking mask. Yeah, just totally.
Was Becky in this one?
No. She was gone.
Wasn't she the one that came to the door? Or
That's,
next season?
that's the pregnancy episode when she gives birth. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a declined series, but they still had pretty good costumes going on.
Yeah, the costumes are good. The story itself was...
story was good. Had good jokes, good costumes, but yeah.
I still like the whole, like, the history of Roseanne pranking and, like, Roseanne as a baby. As a baby pranking her mom.
Yeah,
and,
like a fucking newborn stopped breathing just to fuck with her mom. And I'm like, Joe, she's always been an asshole. Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
My favorite joke, though, was when she came downstairs in the future as her mother.
Oh, yes.
Later, which kickstarted.
Yeah, because if you guys know, Roseanne's biggest nightmare is becoming
her mother.
Beverly. Yeah. Okay, episode 5, titled Halloween 5. This one also was not a very good one. This was Nancy. The main storylines was Nancy, played by Sandra Bernhard, thinks that Dan doesn't like her, and he doesn't, so she doesn't want to go hang out with him. She doesn't want to do anything.
But to be fair, who actually likes her?
As the audience member, I didn't like her either.
Oh, no, I've never we talked about that. Yeah, I didn't like her. And Darlene and David pranking Roseanne.
Yeah.
And
elaborately, very elaborately.
And this was the episode where, like, Roseanne was kind of falling for everybody's pranks. She fell for that one. She fell for the wig thing, and that was the one right at the end. That was the whole... I think, was that the one?
Yeah, because at the end...
Explosion?
It was the explosion, because everyone's taking off their wig.
Yes.
Because, and I think that played to the whole Dan angle that we were talking about. Through the episode, we noticed his hair looked drastically different. Like, and at a certain point, Stacey's like, "Is that a wig?"
It looked like a wig.
It looked like a wig. And we realized that this was around the same time he was filming Flintstones.
Mm-hmm.
Which also, you said it wasn't a wig when he was filming that? Or was it a wig when he was filming
that? I think
not when he was filming Flintstones, it wasn't a wig.
It was just black.
Yeah, so he probably, I wonder if he was filming it while he was filming this.
Probably,
So in a way, honestly, I think the show had enough guts to kind of realize, it's like, dude, that looks like a rug. Everyone's going to notice it, so let's have a gag be that everyone's taking off their hair and he takes off his, and it's a bald cap, of course, but still takes off the wig.
Yeah.
But yeah, the payoff of that joke was her response.
Was blowing up the entire house.
Yeah, which would have been the perfect end of the series.
Yeah.
See, that, I like that idea. As an end of the series, as not an end, because I know that they had more seasons coming at this point. I don't think at the point at that time in the series where they're looking at casting the series at any point in time.
No.
So I didn't...
But compared to what they...
Wait a minute,
in the series with?
No. The bald thing was the next episode, because it was when they went to the hairdressers. Remember, they were okay, sorry guys. That was actually for the next episode.
That's how bad episode 5 was. Yeah. We forgot about it.
There was literally, like, the only one of the other things.
Oh, yeah, because episode 5...
Darlene cheating.
Oh, yeah, the Darlene... Yeah,
not Darlene cheating.
David.
But they were both kind of cheating,
and that's when Dan broke his nose.
In reality. When what's her name?
Sandra Bernhard's character.
Yeah. Nancy. There you
Nancy.
Go.
Wait, is that the episode with the old lady and the...
Yes.
Yes.
That was the
next episode. That was episode 6.
Both in the diner.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. Like, once they hit the diner, it looks the same.
Well,
kind of the same
at
location.
least we corrected ourselves, because if we kept going, people watching would be like,
what the fuck? They haven't watched it.
You guys don't even watch this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we watched the first episode, second episode. And stopped paying attention.
Episode 5 was when they had the robbery fake out.
Dan's prank.
Yes, which was awesome. And then, of course, I put in my notes the bad wig on Dan. I did love at the end credits was the pumpkins, the carved out pumpkins of Roseanne's face and all these other badass, like, kind of Roseanne-related pumpkins. Yeah. I loved that. Okay, we'll go to episode 6 then, which is called Skeleton in the Closet. And that's when everyone pranks Roseanne into thinking that Fred, Jackie's husband, is gay.
Yeah.
And, since we already just talked about the ending of that episode with the bald caps and her making the house explode, we don't have to go into
the real
that.
ending, though, was Dan and the reveal of the whole prank.
Yeah.
Where she thinks she catches them in the bedroom, but then turns Dan.
Yeah, because Leon is holding a party at the diner for all his gay buddies and stuff. And, they go to the hairdresser and of course, all the hairdressers are in on it. Like, saying,
she finds the
Fred
wig.
used to hang out with us all the time and found Beverly's wig. Oh, fucking love that scene.
Which Leon dressing up as Hillary Rodham Clinton was pretty hilarious.
Yes. I love Leon. Leon was one of my favorite characters on the show because he fucking never, held it back with Roseanne. He always gave her shit.
But yeah, at this point, I realized that while previous episodes had at least good costumes, the two before that, story was meh already, and now the costumes started getting weaker.
Roseanne's Prince costume was pretty cool.
It was okay, but Dan's, I'm a cowboy.
Well, this episode really was more about
the prank.
Public service message.
Well, and it was
than
more about the
anything
prank
else.
too.
Yeah.
Middle of the 90s at this point. Gay rights are becoming a big issue in the U.S. It's a
but at the same time, they have the swishy stereotype gay guy.
It's still 90s.
Yeah, still 90s.
Still 90s.
Trying to be more politically correct, but at the
like
same
the
time, it's like,
hairdresser.
no, let's make him swishy.
Yeah, like the hairdresser being so flamboyant, doll! And then, when he's running across the camera.
Which I like about, too, that she was willing to put herself in the point where she's not afraid, but she's instantly brings so much attention to her brother-in-law being gay, where she can't let it go. Which is kind of, putting us all in the same boat. It's like, oh, what if someone's gay? Well, it doesn't really matter. But at that point in time, we still cared a lot about it.
Yeah.
But she's in the same way. She can't let that whole little factor of mystery go.
Yeah.
And the rest of the family's preying on that fact that she won't let it go. Dropping all these hints, even though some of them are huge red flags.
They all knew Roseanne. She wasn't going to let that shit go.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the payoff at the end when they found Fred in bed with Dan. So that was even better. But she still turned it on them and took pictures of it.
But yeah, this was the episode with the little old lady, which I thought was hilarious. It was so out of place, and it just comedic gold that they would place her there. It's like, should they just walk into an empty kitchen? No, let's put a little old lady.
Yeah, they went into the kitchen.
Cooking, and just paying no attention to the conversation.
At all.
At all.
I love that.
And
That was
David's
beautiful.
hanging in the meat locker and meat freezer and stuff. You're like, what the fuck? Like, it was just all weird. Okay, so we're on episode 7, Halloween, the final chapter.
I wish it would have been.
It should have been.
This should have never been. This should have never been.
Yeah.
So this is when Roseanne goes into labor on Halloween. At this point, she apparently, in the storyline, she had been pregnant for 14 months. So their timeline's fucked up because she actually was pregnant in real life. So they ended up saying, okay, we got to try and keep it longer for the fake pregnancy and everything. It's when she's in the hospital giving birth, she has that crazy ass labor fever trip with Jerry Garcia because he had just died, and I guess she's a huge fan of the Grateful Dead and stuff. So it's this fucked up weird scene.
Yeah, and some of the doctors dressed as turtles, others are dressed as the Grateful Dead,
the
bear.
dancing bears and stuff. Yeah,
to me, this is really a jump the shark episode. Because my first note on this is series decline apparent.
Yeah. Well, mine was I actually had that note for an episode before, but this one was where I was like, God, I didn't think it could get worse than the last episode. Now it is. Yeah,
for me, this episode was tied with with Halloween 4 being for the worst, being the ghost of past, present, and future one. I think that's
and even as I said, I love the costumes in this show for the most part. This is where it's like. What was it? Dan was dressed up as a clown, but not a good one either.
Oh, yeah. No, and she was just a gypsy fortune teller woman.
They didn't even want to use the money
Jackie
to do
was a witch.
Creativity. It's
just a plain old witch. But the one scene I did love, and I always crack up when I see it, is when she's scaring Jackie with the Mrs. Buttersworth bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently she used to do it when they were kids and would scare her with it. I just always thought that was a funny
Isn't this the one where... not Darlene, the other one.
Becky.
Becky,
Other Becky shows up.
The other Becky, yeah.
But she's not Becky. She just shows up at the doors with her
mom,
kids trick-or-treating. Yeah.
And they even nod. It's she seems familiar. Some way they say a line like that.
Mark, when he looks over, because I'm like, Mark's here, but where's his wife? I don't know where she... maybe I think it was when she went to school or something like that. I don't know. But he's like, man, this is deja vu.
Okay, nice little nod. But other than that,
a lot of this episode was nods to previous Roseanne and pop culture.
Because remember she flashed back?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a clip show after a while.
Exactly, which kind of leads the whole losing creativity. They're just kind of...
They're taking the best stuff from the previous episodes.
And I'm sure they were probably...
And making references.
And Roseanne is as much hand as she had in the show at that point. She was probably reading all about the reviews and saying how much the episodes have gone down. And it's probably like, we can't do anything anymore. We're kind of losing it all, you know? I mean, they were just...
Yeah, but they could have also been like, we are losing our grip on what's, what we did before. Let's reassess the situation, try to make it better instead of just like, phone it in.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. I think really
yeah,
it was a phone in.
Yeah.
This much.
In this episode, so episode 8, called Satan Darling, was... okay, so this whole
it's
plot...
the end.
Yeah,
that's the best I can say about it. It's the end.
So Roseanne, this is when they've already won the lottery. And so this episode isn't even a Halloween episode. It's actually not Halloween. It doesn't take place on Halloween, if I'm not mistaken. So Roseanne and Jackie are trying to get in with the socialites and stuff, and they're at a party. And the main ones they meet are the chicks from Absolutely Fabulous, or whatever. I guess they were big at that time, right?
Late 90s.
Yeah, which also shows how desperate the show was. Like, hey, they're famous. Put them on the show and hopefully bump our ratings.
And so after a night of drinking, she has a dream about Darlene and her giving birth, and it a la like Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
Darlene gets in with this old couple, and they kind of take her in, make her wear the Tannis root necklace, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the worst part is that part of it only happens like over halfway through the episode.
Yeah.
So this episode is a train wreck.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. It didn't know where it was going.
Yeah.
It didn't know a real plot behind it. They just said, let's throw something at the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Rosemary's Baby, and just try to fit something about it.
Well, and
what was with that dress?
That dress was awful.
I'm sorry.
If you guys watched it, y'all would know what dress we're talking about.
Yeah.
Fucking terrible. She does not look good in it. She shouldn't be wearing it. Nope. Sorry. But, so like I said before, this episode, I feel like... So, the original Roseanne Halloween DVD only had 7 episodes, and it didn't have Satan Darling on it, which would have made sense. So this new one, which was released in 2011, they added in this one, I guess, because they figured, hey, it's a little dark, it's a little spooky, let's put it in. And... yeah, exactly. I guess just because of the movie connection, they said, okay, let's add it in. We'll get more DVD sales again if we put it out with this episode in there.
But anyone who's watched the show before would have been like, no, I got it.
I mean, they had pratfalls in this show.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's definitely not
It's the end.
Yeah.
It's not a Halloween episode at all, and I don't think it should have been included in it.
But at least it had that old guy that's always in a bunch of horror movies.
That's the whole point. Yeah, it's pop culture reference.
Frail old guy.
Well, even even the old lady that was the couple that came in the room. That was the purple or pink-haired old lady from Inner Space.
Yes.
Inner Space.
Yes.
Been a long time.
Yeah.
And they even did the whole Roseanne talking to Devil Roseanne and stuff, in the red dress and stuff. And it was just like...
all just bad.
It's a train wreck. This episode is a train wreck.
But remember, that was all a dream, so it's okay.
Yeah. True. Wait, did all the bad episodes start when...
No,
sadly,
Sadly, no. We can't excuse it.
Yeah.
3 seasons before that
we might be able to excuse this one, but not the others.
Yeah, no. So basically, at the end of it all, I feel like episodes 1 and 2, for me, are my favorite, and I don't think anything will touch
for most
those.
people. I mean, even a not fan of the series, seen it completely objectively as standalones, you can't compare the first episodes to the last 6.
Yeah,
there's no comparison as far as.
And as I said, I kind of am a little looser with them. Like episode 1 and 2, definitely by far the best out of all of them. Episode 3, not horrible, not bad. It's definitely watchable. But as it went from there, it went sharply down.
It gets ugly.
It gets ugly, and maybe it's unfair of me, to criticize as much because these are just episodes, one episode from these seasons.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't as sharp of a decline, if you watch every single episode between them, because it just slowly went that way. But since you're only seeing, 7, 8 episodes, you see much sharper decline.
And we're looking at it under a microscope too.
Yeah.
You have to consider TV for a large part of its history was not good.
Yeah.
A lot of it was crap, and this series stood out like some do. It was a fantastic series.
Especially for how long it ran.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, consider this show compared to, like, Full House. Yeah. this show way better.
Yeah.
Jack, sir.
Full House.
But yeah, I mean, TV didn't really start putting a lot of thought and creativity into writing and production until The Sopranos.
Yeah.
And from there,
Well, even that show, you know.
yeah, that's it. But that was the first time you really see
Yeah.
some production value
Yeah.
in the TV.
Agreed.
And then from there, it's just launching off to what we have, what I think now is a golden age of TV. Which
Yeah.
is better than a lot of major production.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
but it did. But at the time, the mid '90s, it still stood out as a quality show
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
It just had a steady decline.
Yeah.
You know.
Before we wrap this video up, though, I was going to ask everybody their favorite episodes, but I think we all kind of probably
Yeah.
have the same favorite episodes, so that would be
Oh,
pointless.
if
I
you
wouldn't
have to,
expect Chris
I'm
to be
gonna
like,
say
my
episode
favorite is, I wouldn't expect one of us to say the labor episode is our favorite or anything, you know, so.
The Bob Marley, or not Bob Marley, the Jerry Garcia episode, because there's a dance sequence around the gurney.
So fucking bad.
That was so terrible.
So
It was,
fucking
And
bad.
the fake Jerry Garcia popping up on the screen.
That was a
on the
little weird.
monitor,
Yeah,
yeah.
monitor, just like
If you're such a fan, you could have got him on before he died.
it ranks up there with like the shitty Roseanne Dream episode where they have the court case and everybody's dancing
Oh,
and singing.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Yep.
like which I saw last night as we were
Oh.
going to sleep and popped on. And I was
Fuck.
like,
Quick question. So, in the Roseanne universe, magic is real then, right?
well, it's all dreams.
Is it all dreams? 'Cause
It's
you
all. It's always like that
so
was a
even
fever
the back
dream.
in time thing was a fever dream.
Yeah,
I think that was, I mean,
Well, then what would you consider the
Blowing up
whole
the house.
bald head blowing up the house?
Yeah, what was that?
Roseanne writing a terrible scene.
No, but say in universe. In universe.
I don't think we can go that far.
Yeah, you
guys.
can't
Let's
have
not
it in
get too in
universe because
depth
you
with
just killed
Roseanne,
everybody in the
right?
house.
Let's not get too in depth.
All right, sorry. I had to take
Yeah.
things apart.
but to
Anyway.
be fair, all of it was fake anyway because when Dan died.
Dan died?
What?
Spoiler!
Spoilers! Well, I think we did cover it pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we covered as much as we possibly could.
It was
so.
a great series.
I mean, still
It
hands
slowly
down.
got worse, and then by the end, sadly,
Even the
it was
bad ones are still fun in their own way, and I'd much prefer to watch even the bad ones than any other Halloween episodes of any other television show. You know,
Well, that's a strong statement.
Yes, very strong.
also that's me.
I can't
and you
complain.
know-
I can't agree with that
But
one.
you know what a fan I am of Roseanne.
That's true.
So
So,
let's say sitcoms.
Around the table.
Sitcoms.
Would you recommend someone sitting down with their friends or family to see all the
Absolutely.
episodes?
Yes,
100%.
definitely.
Yeah,
I would have to agree. Too.
Yeah.
Just if nothing else, to see the strength at the beginning and to see the
Yeah.
absurd fever dreams at the end.
For as much stuff as they did with the two Beckys, why did they never bring back the original DJ? Just for a quick
Oh,
They
he was,
replaced-
in,
they
he, was in
replaced
the,
DJ?
he was in the pilot episode.
pilot was a
There was a
different
different
actor
DJ.
being
No,
DJ.
the
Really?
reason
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
you'll see if you go back and watch the pilot episode. It's a different DJ, and then I think a year later is when the
show
rest
got
of the
picked
show
up.
came back, and it had the different
so
DJ.
just for the pilot.
That was
Yeah.
just for the pilot.
Okay.
And the reason the reason he didn't
common.
work was because him and Darlene didn't get along.
The kids didn't get
Yeah,
along?
they didn't get along, so they just didn't bring him back.
That kid lost a paycheck for a couple of years.
But it's so funny because I can't imagine any other kid playing DJ than that DJ.
I didn't even. I don't think I ever saw a pilot
Yeah.
of Roseanne.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it. I remember seeing the original Halloween on TV,
Yeah.
and then seeing the series from up until 5 or 6.
Oh, and you know me. I mean,
seasons.
I have the entire series on DVD, so I've seen that pilot episode so many freaking times. And the way that they play it out, though, is the exact same as. I mean, it never changes
the
the tone or anything. No, just anybody. Like Roseanne and Dan's relationship, it never.
So
changes.
the only retool
Like,
was the DJ.
yeah.
Yeah.
But a whole year had passed, and nobody, I think, really even
Noticed.
Yeah. The first time I did see it, though, I was like,
Who's that?
who the fuck is that? What am I watching? And I went and Googled and was like, oh, that's the pilot episode. I had no idea. And he wasn't in it too much, though. He was
That's
in a
not
couple
Marty
scenes.
McFly.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway,
Sorry,
sorry
all
guys.
that joke.
We went way off.
yeah. But before we finish, I want to give a shout out to the nice
Oh,
makeup
Our neighbor,
work.
Jennifer,
Yes.
did our makeup. I can't see too
perfect.
far, but I don't
track.
know
Was
if
it
you
Perfect
did.
Mess?
I don't know if we want to put her thing on there.
Oh, sorry. That
Doesn't matter. Anyways, that's all
doesn't
we gave
matter.
us.
Edited.
Yeah, our faces look like perfect messes.
We'll put the picture on the to avoid fading
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing, and at the beginning or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we've
Cool.
got Instagram
Yeah.
photos of all this. So,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Well, all right, guys, that about wraps it up for our Halloween edition. Thank you so much for coming back for another year of this. We'll be back next year with these, with the Halloween ones, of course. So we'll
Without
be
the
back.
farting balls.
We'll be back. You know,
We'll figure the, we'll
be
figure the
back
production
weekly.
value
Yeah.
out then.
Yeah, we'll be back weekly with our regular episodes.
We're just starting
and
special
stuff.
effects.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next time.
Have a good night. Happy Halloween.
Bye. Happy Halloween.